Welcome back. My name is Guy. Today I'm going to start building a Murphy bed. First up is the frame for the bed, so let's get to work. Now, I did receive a hardware kit for this Murphy bed build, and it came from Rockler, and inside the box came a really good set of instructions. And in there it lays out exactly what the interior dimensions of this bed has to be for it to operate properly. I'm building a full-size bed, and it lays out exactly what those measurements are. So I'm going to start with 2 sheets of 3/4 inch cherry plywood. Now this plywood is good 2 sides. It's really good 1 side. The other side is okay, but that's fine for now. So I'm going to start by ripping this down and getting it cut to size. Well, I've rough cut both the bottom, the top, and the 2 back pieces to width. Now I need to cut them to length, and they all have to be exactly 57¼ inches so everything stays square. It's a little bit too unwieldy for a cross-cut sled, so I've got my MFT table set up, well, my version of the MFT table set up. I've got a stop block on one end. I already have that end cut square, so I just need to cut these 4 pieces to length. With the panels all cut to final length, I'm going to use the same reference side I used to cut the ends. I'll put that against my fence and I'm going to rip them to final width. Well, I need to start laying out for where the dominoes are going to go to hold most of this case together. But before I do that, I have to do the edge banding on some of this plywood. Mainly because the reference surface that I'm going to be using for a lot of these things to put together are going to be based off that edge banding, not off the edge of the plywood. So I'm going to be using iron-on edge banding. I'm just going to lay this on here. I'm going to take an iron, I'm going to heat it up, make sure it's nice and flat against there, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. All the pieces have been edge banded, and this is the top back of the cabinet. And this is going to go in there about right there. And then this other piece is going to go on top like this. And this cavity back here is going to be used for lights that are going to go in the top of the bed. So what I need to do first is start marking this out. This is the only piece that's going to be fully assembled when I take it to the job site. So I need to start marking this out for where the dominoes are going to go for when I do the glue up of this piece. Now the bottom of this piece is going to be 3½ inches from the bottom. So I need to take this and I'm going to make a mark 3½ inches all the way across the board. Now that's done, I can take this piece, move it up here, and put it right on that line, and flush it with my fingers on the end, and then start marking out where the dominoes are going to go. With all this clamped down to my assembly table so it doesn't move around on me, I'm just going to mark about 1½ inch in. I'm going to do it on both sides and then make marks, I don't know, about every 6 to 8 inches along the face of this. And those will be the marks for where I'm going to use the domino machine to cut a mortise here and here. Now, if you're not familiar with the domino machine, this is it right here. It's just a handheld machine that's got a cutter in it, and that cutter actually moves back and forth and creates a mortise inside these pieces right here. So once I create a hole, I can take a domino, which is this little guy right here, put it in here, and then that'll match perfectly to the hole in here. It's pretty slick. There end up being 5 places I'm going to put the dominoes in, and all I need is this one mark right here. Now there's a line right here that I can line up with that mark, and a line here. So it's just going to be an operation where I plunge in this way and then plunge in this way. Now on this board here, I'm going to make the domino slots a tight fitting, so there's not going to be any play in them at all. Now on this board here, except on one end down there, which I know is perfectly flush, there's going to be one tight slot, and then the rest of them are going to be at a looser setting. And that just makes it easier when you've got a long piece like this. You can line it up and then go along the edge and push it in. Trust me, it works better. So I'm going to get to cutting these. So I think you can see what I was saying about that's a tight setting and that's a loose setting. That'll fit in there exactly. And then this is going to give me a little side-to-side play here. Well, this is the top piece, or the fascia board, some might call it. And this is the face of it, and this is going down. This is the top, and this is going down. Now, I'm going to put some dominoes along the edge, but in this case, I'm going to use this as a reference edge and plunge this way. And then I'm going to use this face as a reference edge, plunging this way. And that way, when I put this together, these will be nice and flush along the top. And that's why I wanted to put the edge banding on first. Now with all the mortises cut with my domino, I've got some specially sanded dominoes here. You don't want to use regular dominoes because once you get them in there, they're really not coming out. So like I said, I've sanded these so they pop in and out real easy, and these are just for dry fit. Well, that's what the top of the Murphy bed is going to look like when it's complete. I said this is the only piece that's going to be glued because I have to flat pack pretty much everything else to get it where it's got to go. So now that all this is done, I need to start laying out the mortises that are going to go on the side here, 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 and they're going to attach to the sides of the case. Now to align the sides on this, which are close to 82 inches long, I'm going to be putting dominoes here in the sides also. Now these are strictly for alignment. They'll actually be secured together with pocket screws. So I'm going to put one about 5 inches down right here, about 4 inches up from the bottom, put a couple here and one here, and then I'll make corresponding holes on the sides of the case. Those are the mortises cut for the dominoes. This is for the front piece, this is for the top, and this is for the back. Well, the dry fit of the case is complete and it came together pretty easy, as it should. There's no glue on it. And I mentioned to you before, there's not going to be any glue on this piece. It's all going to be held together with pocket screws, and it's going to be what they call a RTA, or ready to assemble piece, when I get to the job site. Mainly because this will not fit through a hallway and through a doorway. So I need to figure out where all the pocket holes are going to go, and there's also some other things I need to do to this case first before I can start any finishing on it. Well, before I took the case apart, I marked where I needed to put all the pocket holes. I disassemble it. It's sitting over here. I've got my pocket hole jig set up. I just need to make those pocket holes. One of the features of this Murphy bed is that it's going to have lights in the top. Now there's going to be some electrical stuff up here, but I need to get a cord down here to where the socket is behind it. So I'm going to route a channel going all the way along the edge of this piece of plywood, 1/4 inch deep and 5/16 inch wide. I've made marks on both the starting and the stopping points. And to do that, I have a kind of unconventional router set up here. I've just got a standard fence for the router, and I put a really long, tall fence on it. So when I push this against it, I can keep it flat to that face without fear of it tipping on me. So I just need to go ahead and make that cut all the way along there now. The channel I just routed here and here are to let the wires in and out of that groove. This groove and this little dugout area is for a button that's going to go up top here. It's a touch button that's going to turn on the lights and also dim the lights. These two holes are for the light cans that'll fit into the top of the frame. Well, the case pieces for the Murphy bed are pretty much complete. I've got the holes drilled for the lights. I've got the runways routed for the wiring. Next up is to start working on the doors.